Now that you've learned all those additional sounds, I want to go back to that practice routine that I established a couple of videos ago and just add some updates. So basically, you're going to be adding in some of those new sounds here and there, and then also just doing the patterns faster. So for instance, if we go back to pattern 1, which I'll put back on the screen, it's just boots and cats. Now, if you've learned the PF snare, you can just replace that K snare and put in a PF snare. So now it'll be like, and you can do that with any of the patterns and just replace things. It will be a bit easier for you and maybe more useful if you replace sounds within the same section of a drum kit. So if you are doing pattern 1, then you have, so you have your bass drum, you have your hi-hat, and then you have your snare. So it'll probably be easier if you replace a hi-hat with another type of hi-hat, or you replace the kick drum with another type of kick drum, or you replace the snare with another type of snare. But we also have the toms and cymbals and stuff, so that you can kind of just add in wherever, but just keep that in mind. Try to switch these things out and see what beats you can come up with. When you are making these new beats, again, make sure that you are breathing in somewhere. So if you get rid of that hi-hat on the end, that was the hi-hat that I gave you so that you could breathe every 2 bars. But if you're not going to do that, just make sure that you're breathing somewhere. Don't try to change too many sounds at once. Just switch one thing at a time so that you can get practice for that one new sound. Okay, so in terms of tempo now, I want you to get up to 120 beats per minute for beats 1 and 2. And then for beat 4, go up to 100 beats per minute. It'll still be a bit slower because of that double bass kick. But then for beat 3, I want you to slow it down to 80 beats per minute. But you're going to triple the amount of sounds that you're making with each sound of the metronome. So I'll show you what I mean. If I go back to the metronome that I had just on Google here, and I put it to 120 beats per minute, so I'll do beat 1 now, which is just boots and cats. Just like that. And now if I wanted to do beat 3, I would take it down to 80 beats per minute. And then every time the metronome clicks once, I'm going to make 3 sounds. So I'll go just like that. And yeah, that's how you should do it. There's a bit of music theory behind this decision. If you're curious, basically I want you to be able to sing or beatbox in 6/8 time signatures as well as 3/4 time signatures, but that doesn't really matter. Basically, you can just think of it as, oh wow, I'm so advanced now that I can just triple how fast I'm doing that beat. It also just helps because this metronome only goes to 218, so you can't do 240. So you might as well just cut it down to 80 and then triple it. Now you might be thinking, are there really songs that would have sounds that fast, like 240 sounds per minute? Because you're doing 80 beats per minute and then making 3 sounds per beat. And you might be wondering, yeah, like, are there really any songs that do it that fast? Well, there are, and I'll show you one example, and it's called Dandelions by Ruth B. And technically, the BPM is, I think it's around 76 BPM, but it sounds 3 times as fast because there's 3 sounds for each one of those beats. And there's some music theory that goes into that, but we'll just ignore that for now, and I'll just show you what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in a field of dandelions, wishing on everyone that you'll be mine. So I would recommend that you start with the sounds that you already know and just push them a little bit faster. And once you've done that for a little bit, then you can introduce some of the new sounds that we learned in the last video. If you're learning a new sound, feel free to just slow it all the way back down to 60 beats per minute or 40 beats per minute or whatever you need. I've been trying to learn a lip roll like that. And for me, I really need to slow it down if I want to be able to put it in a beat. And sometimes I feel kind of silly doing it at like 40 beats per minute, but honestly, it's useful if I can actually get it to be consistent. So just start out at whatever BPM you can. But yeah, once you're incorporating these new sounds, try to get up to something a bit faster. You can split your practice up into 2 halves if you'd like. So you can take, for example, 10 minutes and then do just the sounds that you know already and try to push them faster. And then you can spend 10 minutes and just learn new sounds and making them louder and clearer at a slower BPM. So do whatever you would like, and maybe it depends on what you're learning for your a cappella team or what you want to practice, but just make sure that you're practicing everything as much as you can. So get started on this practice routine and start practicing all these new sounds. I'd say try to do that for a couple weeks at least. You can watch the very next video about breathing strategies if you'd like. And the rest of the videos in this guide will just be kind of some extra knowledge. You can just sprinkle them in and then make sure that you're continuing to practice consistently with this practice routine until whenever. Honestly, just use this practice routine until you're gonna quit beatboxing, which hopefully is never. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good practice routine. You can just keep using it as long as you'd like. In the next video, I'll be summarizing some breathing strategies that you can use while you're beatboxing, while you're doing this routine, or just in general. So I'll see you there.